Clark, and I think I've got Petra. My goodness, I keep getting in trouble. Petra already there, and let's say good morning. Good morning, Petra. Hello, Petra.
Hello, can you hear me?
Oh my goodness, we've been trying to call you now for the last half an hour. What? Where have you been?
You know, very dangerous. Good morning, and how are you?
Good morning. How are you doing? What time is it in China now?
It's 8:41 p.m.
8:41 p.m. Night time.
And remember, today's not about me.
Yeah, well, she says today is not about her. I'm trying to search my notes here, but I want to thank you so much for joining us. And we've got Petra has two guests that she has with her. I'm going to go back to this. Petra, I'm going to allow you to do the introductions to our guests. They don't look very Chinese to me. They look more Caribbean. Let me see if I can tell by their smiles and the look on their faces. Look like a steel pan country there somewhere. Some roti. Go ahead, Petra. Tell me, who are our guests today?
Well, this evening. Good evening, Antigua and Barbuda. Thank you for having us again. I don't know how y'all put up with my dear brother. Anyways.
They try.
Bros, you good?
All right.
Okay, so with us this evening, I have been pleased to have among my Caribbean compatriots Gavin Riley from Jamaica and Angelo Jedidiah, sorry, from Trinidad. And we have been stomping together through China, and I just figured that, rather than everybody just hearing from me every time, and we have our Caribbean peoples here, let's bring them on and let them share a bit of their experiences with the audience.
Nice.
Right. So just for the background, sure, Gavin is seasoned journalist from Kingston, Jamaica. He's been working in media since 2014 with a number of companies to include Digital's Loop, Jamaica Today, Buzz Caribbean, which is Jamaica Observer Limited, and Our Today. He's currently an editor at Our Today, for which he has written extensively for the last 4 years. He's also a second-year university student at UWI, where he's doing French and Spanish, and now he's learning Chinese, right? Angelo is a passionate reporter and producer at the Guardian Media Ltd in Trinidad and Tobago. In just over 2 years, he has tackled the diverse political and international stories and created engaging multimedia segments on culture, my thing, and technology. Drawing on his experience and background as a high school teacher, he brings a unique perspective to storytelling, always striving to educate and inspire through his work. So just so our audience knows, Gavin, the Jamaican, is our resident Chinese translator. When we're stuck and we don't want to know what's going on, we just get him to figure it out for us. Nice. And Angelo is the director of transportation. We're going anywhere, we need to take the bus, we need to take the train. The only thing he hasn't done yet for us is the plane, but Angelo is the director of transportation services. So I turn them over to you now.
And of course, we want to welcome you guys. You having to put up with Petra cannot be the easiest of tasks. Yeah, all right, yeah, but yeah, she, yeah. So we have we've got somebody from Jamaica and Trinidad. You guys are both from two countries that Antigua Barbuda, all of us are familiar with. We consider those two countries family. Pretty much if you see a Jamaican or a Trinidad and an Antiguan, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference except for the accents. Yeah. The China Belt and Road Initiative. You guys are there in China. You are dipped in all of that rich culture, the food, but more so some of the opportunities that are being discussed, and one of those are the China's Belt Road Initiative. Talk to me a little bit about how do you see this initiative and its long-term economic goals aligning with the Caribbean's vision.
Yeah, well, I will really talk about for Trinidad and Tobago. We were actually the first English-speaking Caribbean nation to join the Belt and Road Initiative. And for us, we have seen like in exports to China have grown by 60%, right? From 1.6 billion TT, I mean 1 billion TT dollars to 1.6 billion TT. And I feel like this is something that I would benefit both countries, but I feel with the Caribbean, they are trying to always market themselves, market their products. And I feel like not only that it could only benefit China, but I feel like it opens doors also for other partnerships around the world and collaboration as well.
Well, and with respect to Jamaica, Jamaica joined the Belt and Road Initiative in, I would say, 2017. It's been a 7-year continuous relationship with respect to infrastructure development with China in Jamaica. And well, I suppose in a Jamaican perspective, it means similar to Trinidad, greater investment opportunities, development of economic growth opportunities, and what I suppose Jamaica looks forward to is increased trade. Last year, the trade deficit between Jamaica and China grew to somewhere around 2.7 billion Jamaican dollars, which is a 22% growth over over 2023. So it just augurs well for increased trade and increased opportunities for not just the economy but infrastructural development.
I'm very happy that both of you spoke about exports and trade, because when people within the region and sometimes outside, not sometimes, we hear it every single day of other developed countries, you Caribbean people have got to be careful with China because they're just going to rack up your debt. You're just going to talk about our debt burdens and all of this stuff. You're quoting real figures there that both of those countries, both Trinidad and Jamaica, have been able to export, both export and import from China. What do you say to those persons who only focus on the Caribbean's debt burden to China?
Well, it's actually ironic because when you look at the share of Chinese debt with respect to Jamaica, Jamaica's debt to China is the third smallest. Most of our debt is still managed by the IMF and the World Bank. So in terms of that rhetoric that, China is a debt trap for the small developing countries such as Jamaica or Trinidad, it doesn't actually reflect the reality, because in actuality, the share of debt from China is minuscule in comparison to the multilaterals that we're normally used to interacting with.
Right.
I think it's also an encouragement for Caribbean country economies to diversify. They need to diversify. For Trinidad, we're known for our energy products, but there's also non-energy products, and there's also services that could be that could help and aid when you think about and aim towards diversifying the economy. And I think that's something that those Caribbean countries struggle with. They think they have something that works for them and they focus on that, right? But they don't ever invest in other things. Not only don't they invest locally, but they don't think about how to expand it on a global scale. So when you have someone like China who has these interests, you shouldn't just say, okay, well, since they have the interest, we'll provide it for them. But how could we diversify our economy within our walls, and also in exporting ideas and goods and especially services to benefit the rest of the world, not only China?
Yeah. I guess let me just make sure I'm speaking. Was Gavin the last speaker?
No,
Angelo.
Okay, sorry. I'm trying. I'm trying to put the names to the faces. So, Angelo, what you just said a while ago, you can sum that up by saying we need to be the tick on the dog. We need to be there. We need to make sure that we can leverage what we have compared to what they have, and continue to grow. Countries like the United States oftentimes would say to us that you cannot be dependent on China. But of course, we know in all of our countries, both Trinidad, Jamaica, and Antigua, many of the Caribbean islands, we have a single market dependent, and that is the United States. The large percentage of our imports come from the United States of America. How do you see the partnerships in terms of the Belt and Road Initiative? How can that help us to now diversify, to find other avenues such as China?
Well, I think we have there is a particular view of China, especially on the western parts of the world. And what we have learned coming here for the past 2 months and living here for the past 2 months is China really encourages persons being individual and having their own individual relationships and collaboration. They encourage collaboration, not only with them, but they want to make sure that no country is held hostage to someone else, because they themselves say it too. They are not holding any country hostage when they want to share ideas, share goods, and obviously exchange money, make profits. And I think that is something that we should all be looking towards doing, because if we make a partnership with one particular country, it shouldn't rule us out from having another collaboration with another country. And that is something we have learned that they are continuing to promote. And that is all towards, again, each country's level of modernization and their road to modernization as well.
Right. Gavin?
It's also interesting that you brought that up, Winston, because earlier in September, we were in Hainan for the China Caribbean Ministerial Forum. And at that forum, there was a consensus that there would be an increase in a deepening of relations between China and the Caribbean. With respect to the question that you asked earlier about the United States, I think for a lot of us as small developing island states in the Caribbean, we are noticing that there is a shift happening with the idea of, for example, in Jamaica, China has grown from our maybe 7th largest trading partner to now the 2nd largest.
The second?
And yes, it is.
Wow.
It's our 2nd largest trading partner as it is right now. And at the forum in Hainan, there was an idea where we would deepen relations in exports, agriculture, green energy, infrastructure, and cultural industries.
Right.
So, their being here is just very indicative of, China's embrace of Caribbean countries. And it just exemplifies, there is opportunity for growth. It's just a matter of us knowing exactly what we want, how to capitalize on it, and how to endeavor to achieve it.
I think I want to also add that with regards to the cultural point, that is something that the Caribbean needs to nail. It needs to nail that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Individual countries, at least from my countries, I want to frankly say that they say they are doing it. It is the aim, but we still haven't done it. And not enough focus is being put towards doing that. And even you can see it every year, especially when it comes to the allocation of budgets, that there's a big difference. And also not only the budget, but also the actually putting it to work, the organization, and actually making it work, putting it into place, implementing it.
Right.
And that does happen, especially for other Caribbean countries.
Yeah.
And that is something, if we do, because let's be real, everyone outside of the Caribbean loves the Caribbean.
True.
And they love the individuality of each country as well. The unity, yes, of the region, but the individuality of each country. But we haven't been able to, put culture first. We say we do in theory, but we actually do it. So that is something that if there's actually a market for it, why haven't we nailed it?
Right.
I don't know.
Right. Well, I'm very excited about the fact that both of you are two young men. You speak so firmly about this relationship. So I'm looking forward. The future is in safe hands. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. It is in safe hands for the Caribbean. And once we continue, and you too, Petra, you and I are no longer in the category of young people. So that's why I didn't call your name, But anyway. So guys, hey, let me ask you this question.
You need to speak for yourself.
There you go.
Okay.
This is what happens when you have family and yeah. All right. So what are five things that you have observed with your stay in China since you've been there that you would like to see, that you will take back, to your individual countries, that you would like to say to your country leaders, hey, these are things that we think that we could implement?
Well, I don't know if I can name five, but I think our main thing for me is the use of technology.
Use of technology.
Now, it's not a 100% cashless society here in China, but they have made it work significantly, and you can see the benefit of it now. Now, to the point of just after 2 months, I do not even know how I'm going to go home after 4 months. I have to be carrying a wallet of cash. Or a card now. And I feel like also other services as well, when it comes to ordering things, using everything on your phone, because they have created super apps. Now, we might not be able to create a super app for the Caribbean. However, there are other investments that can be made and other apps that we could adopt as well in our local society, in our local and regional societies and communities that can make life much easier. And the whole resistance to it needs to be changed. That needs to change in the Caribbean.
Well, for me, I think the two things I take away are firstly infrastructure. China plays a very, or let me not say that. China puts a great emphasis on infrastructure. So, roads are built well and maintained. There is this interconnectivity, whether it's by bicycle or by electric scooter or by monorail or by bus or by train or by plane. There are means and ways to get around. Not just emphasis on infrastructure, it's also emphasis on energy. So most buildings either have some solar or some wind element implemented. Right. So it's not just reliance on the grid. Right. There is some independence and some self-reliance involved in most places. And then the second thing I would say is heritage. They are litigious about how they preserve their heritage, how they perceive themselves, and how they portray themselves to the outside world. Again, my colleague here from Trinidad has mentioned, how we tend to talk about preserving culture, but they actually put the walk in motion.
Right.
Where
you spend the money.
Yes. So, like, for example, I was at a cultural museum in Beijing, right across from the Communist Party of China's museum.
Yes.
And, you could see where they brought up some examples of, where the history of clay pottery has come, or where their use of jade as an ornament or as a jewelry. You could see from where it started in the Warring States period, that's before Jesus Christ. You could see from the different dynasty moments, and I don't see that in Jamaica. At least I can speak for my country. Right. There are museums, there are exhibits, but you don't see that progression of history preservation throughout. And it's there's an incorporation of augmented reality. There is virtual reality. There are live shows. There are renditions. Like, they go all out for culture and for heritage. And I just, as much as, you know, we have our own uniqueness and individuality, I feel like as a region we could be doing so much more to preserve what makes us so special.
And indeed, there are so many things that make us special individually and collectively as Caribbean people. Certainly, both your country let me make sure I get this correctly. Gavin is from Jamaica, and Angelo is from Trinidad and Tobago, two countries with a rich history. The same can be said of Antigua. I'm sure Petra is sitting there. Petra is sitting there. I'm saying, yes, we really need to begin to put some serious investments in our culture and just expose that to the rest of the world. Guys, our time has come to an end, and I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful that you had set aside some time. I know that Petra didn't hold you ransom, did she? Just blink twice and let me know if you're safe. Yeah. Well, clearly.
No, we're good. We're good.
Listen, I'm very good. I'm a very good hostess, mostly.
Thank you so very much for joining us here on Point FM 99.9 in St. John's, Antigua. Hi.
Just before you wrap, I just wanted to share with your audience that
yes, please, go
the
ahead.
reason why I had the gentleman, they've had me, for a couple of weeks, and I wanted, of course, we are a melting pot.
Yes.
So I wanted our Antiguans to understand and appreciate that we collaborate together here as a Caribbean crew, and we are working in the interest of our region while we're here in China, and we just wanted to share that with our people in the Caribbean so they understand we can do it, we can work together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, I'm honored that we are viewing a new crop of diplomats, a new crop of, I wouldn't say politicians.
Okay, here's where I step out the room.
Yeah. You got it. Gavin Riley and Angelo Jedidiah.
And I am partial to males, so you know how it is.
Behave yourself, Petra. Please behave. Sorry. Behave. All right. So that's going to do it for us on this segment of Where in the World Are You Today? We were joined by Petra Williams, Gavin Riley, and Angelo Jedidiah. They're in Beijing. They're in China, some part of China. Where are you guys?
We're not in Beijing.
We're in Jiangsu.
We're not in Beijing. We just a new province.
Jiangsu province.
We're actually speaking to you from the 20th floor of our hotel room.
Oh my goodness! Stop boasting off now. You call you from Jiangsu. I look forward to seeing you guys again. I hope we can have an update when you move to another province or wherever you are next Thursday. So we'll be happy if you can join us again. All right, guys. Thank you so much, and be safe. All right, bye now. Bye bye. Shashang. I know a little bit myself. That's going to do it for us here at the Morning Pointe Show. Thank you guys so much for joining us. The Cabinet Press Briefing is up next. Until we meet again, walk good. Bye-bye.
Without an education in your head, your whole life will be pure misery. You're better off dead. For there is simply no room in this whole wide world for an uneducated little boy or girl. Don't allow idle companions to lead you astray. To earn tomorrow, you got to learn today.
The Morning Pointe Show on Point FM 99.1. Your mornings just got a whole lot better.
Yo, this is Claudette C.P. Peters, and you're locked on to Point FM 99.1.